Introducing the Gastro Notebook, where your culinary journey begins.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Gastro Notebook. Today, we're opening a really special notebook, one that tells the entire story of humanity, but through its food. We're going to journey from the very first meal ever cooked over a fire, all the way to the complex, global kitchen we know and love today. So let's dive in. So, to get started, let's chew on this question for a second. On the surface, it seems pretty simple, right? A gourmet, a gastronomist, they both love food. But as we're about to find out, there is a world of difference between just enjoying a great meal and, well, truly understanding it. To really get to the bottom of that question, we first have to be on the same page about what gastronomy actually is. You hear that word thrown around a lot, but its real meaning, well, it goes so much deeper than just fancy cooking.
At its heart, gastronomy is the study of literally everything that has to do with food. Yeah, it's not just the art of the kitchen. It's also the science, the history, the culture. Think of it as the place where food connects with everything else.
Okay, so this is the crucial point right here. A gastronomy, that's someone who loves and really appreciates good food, a gourmet. But a gastronomist, that's someone who has mastered the entire system of food. The cooking, yeah, of course, but also the management, the finances, the science, and the human side of it all. And this quote just illustrates the point perfectly. A pirate captain? Why? Well, because they had to be an absolute master of rationing and preserving food for these incredibly long voyages. An army officer? An expert in logistics, figuring out how to feed thousands of people efficiently. A gastronomist sees the whole picture, not just what's on the plate. All right, so let's jump in our time machine and go back to the very beginning to see how this all got started. To really understand gastronomy, we have to go back, way, way back, to the moment we first learned how to cook. Before fire, early humans were actually pretty resourceful. They were using hot stones or even animal skins as these sort of makeshift pots. But the real game changer, the thing that changed everything, was getting control of fire. And this wasn't just some small discovery. This was the spark that literally ignited civilization as we know it.
And the change was absolutely profound. Cooking made our food safer, which led to longer lives. But crucially, it made nutrients way easier for our bodies to absorb. With less energy needed for digestion, all those extra calories were freed up to fuel the growth of our brains. And the act of gathering around a fire to share that meal, well, that became the very foundation of community, of ritual, of culture.
Okay, so we've mastered fire. What was the next giant leap forward? Well, it happened when we stopped chasing our food and started growing it right where we lived. This was the agricultural revolution. And this revolution, it didn't just happen overnight. It was a slow burn, spreading gradually from its start in Mesopotamia all across Europe over thousands and thousands of years. It fundamentally reshaped societies one harvest at a time. For the first time in human history, we had a surplus of food. Not everyone had to spend their days farming or hunting. And this is huge because it allowed people to specialize. We got soldiers, priests, rulers, and for the very first time, we got professional chefs who could dedicate their entire lives to creating amazing food for this new elite. So, with settled societies came these incredibly diverse and sophisticated food cultures. So let's take a quick whirlwind tour through some of the ancient world's most fascinating kitchens. The ancient Egyptians took food very seriously. They believed you needed good food and wine to take with you into the afterlife, but they also understood practical nutrition. They gave the pyramid builders this energy-rich diet of bread, garlic, and onions specifically to get the job done. Then you have the ancient Greeks. This is where we meet people like Archestratus. He was called the Daedalus of tasty dishes. And if you know your Greek myths, Daedalus was a legendary master craftsman. Archestratus was basically the world's first food critic. He traveled all over to find the absolute best ingredients and argued for simple, elegant cooking that celebrated natural flavors. How modern does that sound? Now, as societies got more complex, so did the rules around food. Religion became a huge influence, defining what was considered clean or unclean, what you could eat, and when. These dietary laws weren't just about faith, they deeply, deeply shaped the cuisines of entire cultures for thousands of years. For thousands of years, all these different food cultures were developing largely on their own, kind of in their own bubbles. But that was all about to change in a really dramatic way with the age of exploration. What happened next was arguably the single biggest culinary mashup in all of history, the Columbian Exchange. I mean, just try to imagine Italian food without tomatoes or Irish food without potatoes. That was reality before the Old World and the New World met. This event forever changed what the entire planet ate.
So this incredible fusion of ingredients, cultures, and ideas, it totally set the stage for the world we live in now, a world where gastronomy is finally recognized as both a complex art form and a serious science.
The path to our modern table was really paved over centuries. During the Renaissance, the focus shifted to elegance and refined service. Then, the Protestant Reformation eased up some of those strict religious dietary rules, like fasting, which opened the door for a lot more culinary creativity. And finally, global trade brought all these new ingredients and ideas together, creating the dynamic hybrid cuisines that we all love today.
And this brings us full circle, right back to our original question. A gastronomist? They aren't just someone who cooks well. They're part historian, part scientist, part manager, and part artist. They understand the entire story behind the food on the plate.
So, we've journeyed through thousands of years of history, from the very first fire all the way to the global kitchen. I want to leave you with this question. What skills, beyond just cooking, do you think define a true food expert today? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more. If there's anything you'd like to explore further, let's talk about it. Thanks for watching.